Filmmaking covers a variety of genres, and during the 1990s, one in particular saw a resurgence: the big-budget disaster flick.
It's coming! It's headed right for us! It's already here.
For two science-obsessed kids growing up on opposite sides of Pennsylvania, nothing left a bigger impression than Twister.
The suck zone.
I think we're going in!
Join Kelly and Joe as they dissect the second highest grossing film of 1996,
Debris! Justin, we have debris!
Debris!
minute by minute,
Another cow.
Actually, I think that was the same one.
and relive one of their favorite movies of all time.
No, that was a good-sized twister. What was that, an F3?
Solid F2. Tornado warning continues now.
All right, welcome back to Solid F2 for minute 2 of the movie Twister. Now, we did our introductions on the last episode and discussed the first minute of the film, which we gotta admit wasn't a lot to go by. And I'm not
Whose idea
sure.
was this?
I'm not sure this second minute is all that much better, but we do get to finally see an actor, which is a positive. Also, an animal.
You have some high standards here. You're complaining about in the
Well, you
first
don't just jump into the
120
movie.
seconds of a movie.
Well, you don't just jump into the movie. You got to build up to the good parts. So you got to
I
set the
know.
stage.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
well,
You
exactly.
seem super critical about this.
Well, no, I'm just just kind of apologizing in advance that these first few episodes, there's not going to be a lot of substance to them.
That's fair. That's fair.
Now, are you back with fun facts this week?
I have some fun facts.
You have some
yeah.
fun facts. How about you fill us in on Jan de Bont?
Oh, yes. I believe I mentioned he left a film to do Twister. That film was Godzilla.
Godzilla.
Another film with a pretty nice soundtrack. Doesn't have the pull
I've never
it
seen
had
it.
to me. I actually saw that one in the theater, and it was sort of a mess. It was
Is that the one with Matthew Broderick?
Matthew Broderick, yeah. And there's a lot of like neon green in that
Yes,
movie.
Yes, I remember that from the
Jamiroquai
posters and stuff like
yelling
that.
at you on the soundtrack. And
Now, did you see that in the theaters or you just saw that after the fact?
yeah, I saw that in the theaters, yeah.
So you're not sure you saw Twister in the theater, but you saw Godzilla.
Yes, for sure.
Interesting.
Listen, I have a dad who,
You're right,
if you
you're
throw a
right.
monster into a movie, he's
That's
there.
a little
So.
big budget monster movie for him. He's kind of more low grade, low budget monster movie.
He's a fan of the old
the B or
B.
maybe even C.
the B sci-fi films. But I think that's why he liked this, because I think the original Godzilla could be considered a B sci-fi film, and this was, a remake of it, a little nostalgia for him.
Right.
So yeah, we saw that, but yeah, Jan de Bont left
Jan de Bont, right?
left Godzilla because he didn't think that the special effects unit was up to the task.
Oh, well.
According to,
Jan.
I believe I read it in a Mental Floss article,
Ah, yes.
possibly. But yeah, that's what they said. So anyway,
Well, if it's on Mental Floss, I believe it.
listen, that's a damn good website.
It's a good website. It's enjoyable. Is that the one that you used to get like the daily emails from? Yeah, it's good stuff. You've sent things from me, forward them along.
Yeah. The
Probably
more you know.
More often than not, they relate to some of these movies that we share common interest.
Yep.
Twister being one of them.
Certainly.
But we're here to watch the second minute of Twister. So 1 to 2 minutes here, and again, it's going to be a lot of music and ominous sounds and.
You're not going to let me talk again this time, right?
Right. Well, the first minute we watch it, then I'll rewind it, and then we can talk. So,
All right, I get the rules.
you're gonna actually hear people talk. We're gonna meet an actor, and we're gonna meet an actor within a television inside the movie. So we're gonna talk about that. But let's listen to it before we discuss it. So let's pull that up for the second minute of
Twister.
Twister.
earlier, Bill made. Tornado warning continues now and it's been extended officially. I gave this to you earlier, but extended over into Oklahoma County let's call it, they're calling all of Oklahoma County, but right now it mainly looks
All right, there you have it. That was the second minute of the movie Twister. Again, the only talking being done in the latter half of that minute was by a recorded TV meteorologist, not by someone acting in the movie. Although I don't know this. This would be a fun fact to know. But I wonder if that is a taped recording of an actual broadcast he did, or if that's something they recorded to play for the movie.
I don't know the answer to that, but that would be a fun fact to know. You probably should have researched that prior to recording this.
Well, at least we know who he is. That he's an actual meteorologist.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We do know he's an actual...
So I believe that was Gary England, who is, or had been for a long time, chief meteorologist at Oklahoma City's CBS affiliate there, KWTV. And, he is an actual meteorologist. So I kind of lean towards that being a taped recording of him, updating people on the severe weather that was happening. Now, this is to take place, I believe, in June 1969, this part of the movie. And Gary England has been working at the station since 1972, so not that far off for him to be discussing the weather in and around Oklahoma. And he's actually for that area, and for as famous as meteorologists can get, he's a pretty big one in the plains and around Oklahoma. So that the first voice you heard was his. So, and I tend to believe that probably is a recording of something that he actually presented during a severe storm outbreak at some point in the probably
mid-70s?
Well, yeah, I don't know. He was chief meteorologist in the 90s, right around when the movie was made, but he had been with the station since 72. So,
well, I'm just saying, if you're thinking that it's an actual filmed real
Right.
television broadcast based on his clothing and
right,
the
yeah,
radar,
it
was not him in the mid-90s.
right, and he probably wasn't chief meteorologist when that was recorded,
Right.
But he was promoted to that eventually. So, Gary England, the first person that you see and hear, or at least hear in the movie. I think you actually do see an actor before the television screen, and that actor is Richard Lineback, which is the father of Helen Hunt's character, Joe Harding. And we know Mr. Lineback from another Jan de Bont film. He was in Speed. So I also enjoyed him in Varsity Blues. He was the obnoxious dad to...
James Vanderbeek?
No, he wasn't James Vanderbeek's dad. He was the late Paul Walker's father, I believe.
I only saw that once. So
Oh, really? That was a junior high...
It's a boy.
boys.
It's a
that was
movie
a
that
big
caters to
time
boys.
junior high flick for sure. Well, it also came out while we were in junior high, so it kind of makes sense. But I believe he was the father of Paul Walker in the movie, and James Vanderbeek's dad. I can't remember that actor's name, but he's obnoxious. Paul Walker's father. The father played by Richard Lineback is obnoxious. Whenever he comes on in Twister, I immediately think Varsity Blues. I didn't make the connection when I first was watching Varsity Blues that they were the same guy, that was his father. But I believe Richard Lineback makes an appearance along with his movie wife and movie daughter later in the film, which we always remark about when we watch it.
Her little flashback in Wakita.
Yeah. So it's
We'll
a
get there.
interesting component. But yes, that is for the future. We will get there. Do you have anything to say about Gary or Richard and their first spoken words or actor appearances in the movie?
No, not particularly. He doesn't seem concerned at the multitude of lightning that is happening around his house at any given time. He's just casually getting himself a cup of coffee. Seems late for coffee, but whatever. So yeah, also the words tornado warning are on the screen, and
Kerneling is off.
don't
it.
like the spacing of the letters.
Yeah.
It looks like Tornado W Arning.
Yeah, the W is what throws it off.
Also the A in tornado. It's like Tornado W Arning.
Yeah, it's the spacing is really messed up. But,
Yeah, I've
you
got
know,
some.
This is
I do take
supposed to
some
be
issue with that.
portraying 1969 graphics. I'm guessing it's probably, you think it's like late 70s when that was recorded?
I'm gonna guess, but
Now, I mean, the
wasn't alive
studio
then, so
could
what do I
have
know?
thrown tornado warning on an existing copy. It doesn't mean it was made. Who knows what kind of special effects were going on for this stuff to make a setting in the late 60s, early 70s. But
I know we don't see their house for very long because presumably it's destroyed rather quickly here. But I do.
don't no spoilers.
I do like the set dressing. I mean, it looks like a good old 1969. The kitchen that he goes into, the flowered wallpaper, the upholstery. Although that, if you pause it, there's a game of sorry on the chair in the
There
corner.
is. That's a good eye.
And that is the box that I had as a kid, so I don't think that's what it looked like in
That's
1969.
not 1969 accurate.
No, I don't believe it is.
I do
but-
also like the glassware with the candies.
Oh yeah, I
the-
think there's some Werther's originals in there.
well, I know
some
there's the-
Buttermints,
I see. I don't know. There's a green tint to me.
some cocaine. I don't know. You
well,
just seem really.
I wouldn't go that far. I wish it was in HD that we could see what else was laying on there. Is that a crossword puzzle? You know, like a book of crosswords.
Looks like
What kind of
Sudoku.
magazines sitting there? But yeah, the aesthetics of the home are interesting for sure.
A
that you
lot of
mentioned.
olive green and brown going on.
Yeah, and that does remind me of like my grandparents, which would have been younger during this time, and that stuff tends to go along with you. But floral patterns on the couches, floral patterns on the throw rugs, it's interesting. But that's all we really get here in this second minute is a look a little bit at the home of the Hardings in June
There's
1969.
different wallpaper, still flowered in the kitchen.
Correct. Yeah.
An old box television.
Yeah, no flat screen, HD, or anything to deal with that.
Oh, he heard a camel growl.
We see some chickens, a car and a
A
tractor,
lot of strobe lights.
and now we're moving into the second, or really minute 3, where we're going to meet Joe. But more importantly, we got to meet her buddy, since she is an only child.
Little Toby.
Little Toby, the family dog, which will play a larger role in the first few minutes of the film. Though we don't get a reference from Toby the rest of the way, though.
No.
So cute animal, and I missed it again. So we'll just keep going back until I can pause it correctly, and
What,
we
on the
can
yard
see
scene, or?
see the dog. No, well, I mean, we can we want to dissect the yard scene a little
I
more,
just want
talk
to see
about
if
the
there's
chickens.
anything interested out there. Anything interesting. You're gonna pause it, okay? And we got a John Deere tractor.
Well, of course, you got the green and yellow John Deere, an old like a Plymouth,
Yeah,
light blue
something, yeah.
Plymouth. You got the wind vane out front. I mean, it looks like a farm town, rural. You got silos, it looks like, in the background. A couple big trees.
Are those for their wheat?
Wheat and Hoyle. Let's see, they got about a dozen or so chickens, which, I don't know what happened to them. We don't get
There's
any
14
more.
chickens.
14? I said a dozen or so. What's 14? Baker's dozen is 13, right?
Yeah.
Is there
Wait.
something for 14?
No, it's 14.
I thought there was a name for
No, it's just 14.
too. No,
14's the name for 14.
14's the name for 14. All right, got it. Let me make a note of that.
Please do.
So then we get the pup, which is not named Toto.
No.
Would have been appropriate to get
Well,
a little
on
nod.
the nose, though. A little on the nose.
Maybe, yeah. I remember when we watched this a couple weeks ago, I thought the dog's name was Toto, and then when they say Toby, I'm like, oh right. You would think it would be Toto, but they decided to.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. Here we go.
I'm making up this fun fact.
Oh, you're making this
This
up.
dog later in life becomes the HR person for a paper company in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
He's not well liked.
Well,
It's kind of a wet blanket.
It's really tough for me to see something so cute become something so dour.
I mean, he's about to get some some trauma in his life now. So, yeah, who
Toby
knows?
is a good dog name, though.
Toby is a good
I
dog
think
name.
Toby is a good dog name.
What is he? Is he a
I'm
Yorkshire?
not sure.
Yorkie?
I feel like this type of dog has been in other TV shows or movies, something that I should recognize, but I can't put my finger on it right now. It was one of these in Friends?
No.
No?
And there was one episode of Friends with a dog that I recall when Chandler has to admit he doesn't like
Yeah,
dogs.
what's his name?
Chandler.
No, not the person, the dog.
Bubbles?
Yeah, no, it's something like that, though. Yeah. It's, Clunkers.
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 Clunkers,
I wanted to
that's
say
right.
Chuckles, but I was like, it's not Chuckles.
Clunkers, though, is much bigger than Toby.
Yeah, for sure.
And Gray?
Yeah, I was going to say white or cream, something like that. So, yeah, and why don't we jump back here a little bit? You talked about how the father does not seem that concerned about the weather, and that's one of the big things here. Get the ominous clouds and then lots of lightning, digital
Lots of
lightning.
I would say the first look at the ominous cloud there, though, looks more like just like a gray, gloomy day and less like...
Right, yeah, this first shot here is just kind of like, oh, maybe something's happening, and then you get into it. But then they show it happening directly over the house. He's just sipping his coffee or whatever. Doesn't seem to care, but I mean,
that is a lightning storm.
yeah.
That's not like occasionally lightning flashes like we get here. I mean, that's like maybe we shouldn't be touching metal things in the house, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, he looks a little concerned, but I don't know that it's enough. But I wonder if that's just how Midwest and the plains, especially Tornado Alley, that they deal with this so often. It's just kind of ho-hum. If we think about what we joke about southern states when it comes to snow and ice, they freak out when they get a little bit of freezing rain, and but it can cause a lot of damage and injury.
I mean, why is he drinking coffee that late, though? Honestly?
It is very late to have coffee. Maybe it's tea.
I mean, presumably... Okay, so we know it's June.
It is June, yeah.
So the sun is going to set after 8:30.
Yeah, so this is pretty late.
And it's dark outside, so I'm going to say it's after 9 o'clock here.
It's
And he's
after
drinking
9,
coffee.
yeah. Well, and his young daughter is in bed, and so...
Also, I don't know, a child out there that would sleep, her windows are open.
Right.
Because her curtains are blowing. There is not a child alive that would sleep through that if their windows are open.
No way.
Also, I don't know many dogs that would just be like chilling on
Toby
the bed.
does not seem to care whatsoever
DGAF.
about what's happening outside. But again, maybe they're just used to it. Maybe they just don't care because this happens often. He finally starts to recognize that maybe something's happening, but we'll have to find out more about his delayed intuition on episode 3 when we discuss minutes 2 to 3, and the action is going to really start to pick up, and this is an event that percolates throughout the rest of the movie.
Percolates.
It gets referenced multiple times by Helen Hunt, who is
Well, yeah, she needs some sort
Adult
of
Joe Harding.
emotional driver to...
right.
Okay.
Maybe
Otherwise,
you should
she's
be a
just crazy lady.
screenwriter.
She's just a crazy lady otherwise.
She's just crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a lot to discuss about Twister, but that's all we have for the second minute of the film. So we hope you have enjoyed the podcast so far, and we're going to get a lot more in depth and have a lot more to discuss as we get farther into the movie. But for now, Kel, you got anything else to add for this episode before we take off?
Oh, I think Toby's a good boy.
You think Toby's a good boy? I'm sure he is a good boy.
That's all.
How long do you think he made it past the movie?
Oh, he was safe.
No, I know that, but I mean, I doubt Toby's still alive.
Oh, well, no, I don't
It's
think dogs live for
24 years
24
later.
years. Great, bring me down. Thanks.
I wanted
He
to end
was
on
a good
low.
boy.
He was a good boy. Right. Rest in peace, Toby.
It's a dark soul.
Does
Joe.
IMDb have pages for animals
They
performers?
probably do. I
You
would
think
bet.
so? We'll have to look that one up and
Airbud.
see if
Let's look
Toby
up
was in any other
The
movies.
golden retriever and Airbud, I bet, has an
No, the
IMDb
Airbud
page.
is the things you put in your ear.
Well, that too. You can get little Airbud jerseys for your earbuds.
Don't steal that. That's her idea. We're gonna make that happen.
TM.
Airbud on your ear pods.
It already exists, I'm sure. I'm
think so?
not the only one that calls those Airbuds.
I know, but
Ear buddy pods.
yes, you got it. Good job. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for episode 2, and we'll be back in a bit to discuss the third minute of Twister.